All right, let's talk about Ice Spice. And don't forget to subscribe, that's important. So, Ice Spice, by now you've probably heard about the McDonald's slapping incident, and leave it to her to flip the whole thing into an opportunity. Word is she's already in talks with Wendys, which honestly makes perfect sense given what she said right after it happened. Apparently, right after getting slapped, she made a point of saying this never would have gone down at Wendys. Some people think the whole thing was staged. Personally, I don't buy that. I think she genuinely got slapped, and then she said what she said, just being witty and sharp about it, and it turned into a branding moment. Why not capitalize on it? Now let's talk about Glorilla, because she went after her sister, Glorilla's sister Rilla. She came out with some bars directed straight at her, saying she's nothing but a broke, freeloading stud who's always begging for change, telling her she could have been anything, that there were a million ways to get money, but she chose to do nothing with herself. Here's my take on that, though. Glorilla has been getting a bag out here for a minute, but let's be real, the momentum has slowed down. She's not getting posted the way she used to. She hasn't gone on one of her famous rants in a while either, and instead of reigniting her own energy, all this did was bring her sister back into the conversation. She and Lotto got on a track together. It samples an old Soulja Boy deep cut, one of his B-sides. I believe it's called Get Out My Face. And look, that song was unremarkable when Soulja Boy originally dropped it, and the new version isn't exactly setting the internet on fire either. Soulja Boy's probably the happiest person in this whole situation. He's about to collect a check off that sample. But at the end of the day, all Glorilla did was hand her sister a platform and put her back in the spotlight. That's it. Now let's talk about Boosie. And I'm starting to get the sense that the performance money might be thinning out. We already know Boosie doesn't exactly sit on a mountain of liquid cash, because the last time he got into serious legal trouble, he had to start selling off cars just to scrape together enough money for a lawyer. That tells you everything you need to know about how he manages his finances. He probably keeps around $200,000 on hand at any given time, and the rest gets poured into property, specifically a collection of houses sitting on land in the middle of nowhere, not exactly a blue-chip real estate investment. But now he's pivoting. He's spreading himself across every social media platform he can get onto. He's launching a Patreon. He's split from Vlad. Okay, fair enough. He's making his own moves and putting his foot down. And I'll say this, mark my words, he is going to do well. Mark my words, he's going to do well on this first one, but probably not by the second or third interview. The initial wave will carry him. He'll likely claim he hit 100,000, but realistically, he's probably looking at somewhere between 40 and 50,000. And honestly, that's still solid, because the hype around this is real. People are genuinely going to show up and support on this first one, no question about that. Now, will he be back on Vlad by the end of the year? Absolutely. Without a doubt, Boosie will find his way back to Vlad TV before the year is out.
Also, I don't think he actually signed a formal deal with Patreon, because if he had, he would have made an announcement. Speaking of which, Boosie's interview part 1 is only 49 minutes long and is going for $6, which is fine. But here's where it gets a little confusing. He's telling people they can pay more if they want, except when you actually go to buy it, there's no option to pay more. It's just $6. That's it. He should have set this up with tiers. Part 1 at one price, Part 1 and 2 bundled at something like $250, so people who are really invested could buy in all at once. That's how you maximize it. But regardless, he's expanding. Twitch, multiple platforms, the whole thing. And all of that together tells me the live show bookings are probably slowing down, which is fine, it happens. But that definitely explains some of the tension we saw with Vlad. He needed those checks. Alright, moving on. Young Thug is making dance music now, and honestly, it makes sense when you think about it. He can't exactly rap about street life anymore, given everything going on legally, so dance music is the pivot. Then we've got Ray J with a new interview. Cam Newton asked him point blank, based on some of his recent live streams, does he like men? And Ray J shut it down, said absolutely not. But then he went on to claim that Kris Jenner essentially directed the infamous tape between him and Kim. Now look, I think what's more likely is that Kris got involved once it leaked and figured out how to turn it into something, but directed it from the start? That's a stretch. Now there's also a resurfaced clip of a woman who appeared in one of David's early videos. She played a girlfriend role in one of them. She's basically clarifying that it was strictly professional, that they never stayed in contact after filming, and that she's simply an actress. That part makes sense, but what doesn't play well is a separate clip that also resurfaced where she's telling David he was there for her when she was younger and calling him the best. Obviously, at the time, she had no idea who David really was, but in today's context, that clip lands very differently. Now, back to Glorilla and Lotto for a second. In the video, they actually pay homage to Soulja Boy. They did the writing on the glasses as a nod to him, which makes sense since the track samples his music. And speaking of Soulja Boy, apparently he performed at a halftime show recently, and Boosie came out saying it was one of the best performances he's seen all year. And honestly, that's not even a crazy take. Soulja Boy can perform. The man knows how to work a crowd. Boosie also apparently jumped off a trampoline trying to dunk at a game. Didn't quite go as planned. By his own account, he jumped wrong and went straight up instead of forward. Classic Boosie though. He loves being at games, loves the attention, and he is absolutely a self-admitted attention magnet. Nobody can take that from him. And then Soulja Boy comes out saying Boosie was his favorite rapper growing up. Except here's the thing, Soulja Boy is 36 years old. They were both big at roughly the same time, so the growing up framing is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Soulja Boy is out here acting like he's 22, when in reality, they came up in the same era. My guy, the math isn't mathing. Alright, so next we've got Lil Baby's baby mother on camera getting emotional, saying people don't know her heart, that she gives everything she has to the people around her. Look, this is clearly someone who's still processing a lot. She got into some kind of situation with somebody, and now she's online with a lot to say. Here's what she had to say. I am so intentional with how I treat people because I already go into things prepared for them to fall apart. I never want anyone to be able to turn around and point fingers at me. Everything I do is deliberate. And if something I do rubs someone the wrong way, it is never out of bad intentions because I already know things are going to go sour eventually. They always do. And I know some people are just sitting there waiting for a reason to throw something in my face.
And here's the honest read on that. This is a woman who was genuinely hurt by what went down with Lil Baby. She feels damaged. She was cheated on, and somewhere along the way that turned into this need to position herself as the most misunderstood, most intentional person in every situation. It's a way of protecting herself. That's really what you're watching here. Moving on, in part of Boosie's new interview, he actually brings up a scene from one of his movies where he used a hard racial slur as part of acting in the film. And I'll just say it plainly, that was one detail he really didn't need to share. Could have kept that one to himself. Now, Krishan Rock went face-to-face with her boxing opponent ahead of her debut fight, and honestly, she's probably going to handle her business in that ring. Krishan has a certain intensity about her that you don't want to be on the wrong side of, and on top of that, she looks like she's gotten herself back in shape physically. This boxing journey might genuinely be one of the best things that's happened to her. She's clean, she's focused, and that's something worth acknowledging. Back to the All-Star Jr. case. Federal authorities are now claiming that All-Star Jr. spit on Ben 10's body before leaving the scene of the shooting. And look, the video already made its rounds, so this isn't new information for a lot of people, but seeing it referenced in a federal investigation is something else entirely. Now, Boosie dropped his new interview, and it's supposedly generating buzz, but from what I can actually see, not many people are paying the $6. Most are sitting back waiting for the free highlights to pop up somewhere. Someone made the point that with the economy the way it is right now, charging for a sit-down interview is a tough sell. And honestly, I get it to a point. But Academics charges $5 a month for a full membership covering all of his content. $6 for a one-time Boosie interview isn't outrageous on paper. The real issue is that Boosie has already put so much of himself out there publicly that people feel like they already know what he's going to say. There's not enough mystery left to make it feel like a must-buy. Then there's Memo 600, and yes, I used to think his name was Memo when I first came across him, but anyway, he's out here on Instagram saying Vlad TV only offered him under $2,000 for an interview. And look, that's just the reality of where he stands in terms of draw. Nobody is tuning in big enough numbers to justify more than that. You're not Boosie. You're not pulling those kinds of numbers. Realistically, you'd be fortunate to see $500 for that kind of placement. And finally, Rocco is out here promising new music this summer, says the summer is his. And look, I'll be straight with you.
Rocco has been saying he's about to drop for the better part of 9 years now. But here's the thing. I know for a fact that he's sitting on serious records, collaborations with Rick Ross, Lil Wayne. The music exists. The problem is getting it out there. If I were in his position, I'd strongly consider signing with a label, not because he needs the validation, but because he doesn't have the infrastructure or the bandwidth to properly market a rollout. Rocco is deep into real estate and other business ventures, and that's where his attention goes. The music side needs dedicated support. Just drop the records, man. The people are waiting.